Music has played an integral part in some of the most memorable moments in my life, from road trip playlists to iconic events to songs that immediately take me back to one specific moment in my life. Music has often become the soundtrack to the times we all want to remember for the rest of our lives. This is probably never more true than at a wedding. A good DJ gets everyone out of their chairs and onto the dance floor early in the evening and keeps the party going until the very end. Everyone gets involved at least a little, even Grandma gets a turn to show what she can do. And as the guests leave the venue, all they talk about is how long it's been since they've had this much fun. My friend DJ Coach Kev can do that for you. Whether you want your guests to get lost on the dance floor, or if you're looking for something a little more refined, DJ Coach Kev can provide the soundtrack to whatever event you want to remember fondly forever. And it's not just weddings. Kevin can do school events, private parties, and corporate functions too. Just tell him the mood you're looking for, and he'll take care of the music. I've personally experienced DJ Coach Kev events, and trust me, he knows what the crowd is looking for, no matter who's in the crowd. You can book DJ Coach Kev for your next event. You can contact him on Instagram at DJ Coach Kev, or email him at djcoachkev@gmail.com. And now, on with the show. I'm going to be talking about death a lot in this week's episode. Not of anyone in particular, but if that's not something you're interested in right now, maybe skip this one and I'll catch up with you next week. This is Lessons We Forgot, and this episode is called Memento Mori. We've got so many things to remember most days, from packing lunches to posting in Google Classroom to finding the required amount of caffeine. We have a lot of things to do early in the morning before we even leave our homes. It can seem like a whirlwind. Then, once we're in our classrooms, we need to make sure everything is ready to go for all of our lessons and activities for the day, because we sure won't have any time once the bell rings. And for some of you, remembering to set your alarms is the most important thing to remember so you don't forget to do anything else during the day. Are we having a meeting this week? How long until June? Did I just miss a colleague's birthday? Sometimes it's hard to even remember what day it is. On a larger scale, we've been given instructions about how to teach our classes, what topics to avoid, how our classrooms should be physically laid out, and what behaviors to look for in the halls. We need to remember to use reward tickets, fill out those hall passes, and monitor everything our students are doing online. And don't forget to answer emails in a timely fashion and to provide feedback to our students. Plus, there are unique academic or behavior plans for a dozen kids that you better not forget. And of course, this is not an exhaustive list of everything we need to remember. I'm sure I forgot to remember something. With all this running around trying to remember to do everything on our lists, like did we remember to make a list, it's easy for us to let some things slip through the cracks and to lose sight of our priorities. One thing we often forget is our own mortality. I know that sounds absurdly morbid for a podcast based on spreading positivity, but for the ancient Romans, remembering that all of us will eventually die was actually a way to help them live life to the fullest. Memento Mori was a common phrase that they would tell each other and to remind themselves. The literal translation is something like remember death, but the vibe is much more like remember that you will die. They would use images like skulls and skeletons, situated in very conspicuous places, as less than subtle reminders to prioritize the important things in life. In a series of personal writings now known as meditations, Roman emperor, Stoic philosopher, and frequent guest on the podcast, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." The Romans wanted to make every moment count, whether it was spent working, celebrating, or vanquishing enemies on the battlefield. So while it might initially come off as pretty dark, Memento Mori is really just a reminder to use your limited time in the way that makes the most sense to you, whatever that might be. When I consider Memento Mori, and I do way more often than you might think, I imagine the much older version of me looking back on the current me. I try to predict if the me in the future will be happy with what I'm doing right now. Will I wish I had used my limited time more productively? Or will I wish that I had taken a little more time for myself? Or maybe I'd wish that I would have already started a project that I've been thinking about for a while. Will I wish I would have handled the situation differently or called someone out for their bad behavior? On the other hand, should I have given someone a little more grace, especially if that person is me? Will what I'm doing right now and maybe pouring my heart into make the 80-year-old me proud of what I'm doing? Will I regret spending the time and energy on the thing I'm currently working on? Or will it even be significant enough to remember it all? In the end, I have no idea what future me will think of the current me. But I do know when I look back at the younger versions of myself, I rarely regret when I tried something new. I think back fondly on times when I made new friends, experienced something for the first time, or open my mind to new possibilities. At school, I almost never regret helping a colleague. I'm usually happy I injected a reasonable amount of fun into my lessons, and I've never wished I didn't get to know a student a little better. Whether it is your first year teaching or your last year in the profession, or if you're somewhere in between, remembering that nothing lasts forever is a great way to look towards the future while still being totally focused on what is most important to you today. So, Memento Mori. Remember, you will die. Let that determine what you do and say and think today. Thank you for listening to this episode of Lessons We Forgot. I'm the host, Chris Winkle. You can contact me at lessonsweforgot@gmail.com, and please do. I'd love to hear what you think about the show and any suggestions you might have. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend. That is the best way to help grow the podcast. If you want to hear more Lessons We Forgot, we post new episodes on Sunday nights. And when you like, rate, and subscribe to the show or leave a comment, that also helps the show reach new listeners. If you really hate ads like me, I do have a Patreon site, patreon.com/lessonsweforgot. For only $1 a month, you can get the show without ads. I'm offering a free trial right now, so go check it out and see if it's something you'd be interested in. Thanks again for your support.